Children, I am on page number 18 of chapter 2, History, the New Kingdoms and Kings, and we are referring to the topic, the Prashastis and land grants. Okay. Now today we will be learning about what the Prashastis were, as well as we will also be learning about warfare for wealth. That means how did the kings expand their regions and how did they conquer the regions for expansion of their kingdoms. Okay. Then we will also be learning about the Uriyar to Tanajar, where you will be learning the expansion of the Cholas. Right, here you can see that, and what were their administrative practices. Right, as Cholas were the prominent rulers of the 9th centuries, that is from the centuries between 7 to 12 centuries. So one of the prominent rulers were the Cholas, and what were their administrative practices. But to begin with that, we are also going to learn what the Prashastis were. Prashastis were the documents, children. Okay, what were these documents? These were the documents which were copper plated during those days. Why? Because during that time paper was not in existence. Okay, right, and even if it was in existence, it was not prominently used. But altogether, due to lack of the paper, the people what they used to do is they used to record their things and maintain their documents in the form of prashastis, which were the copper plates. Manuscripts were not that efficient enough. Why? Because it were eaten by the insects. They used to contain insect bites, etc., and they were not been preserved for a longer time. So the prashastis were the copper plates on which the documents were being laid out, as well as these were having the recordings of the kings, their warfare practices, their achievements, etc., right, their tenure, their reign, as well as it also had the land records, okay, or the grants which were being given by the kings to the samantas, etc. So these carried out all the documents in the form of copper plates, okay, as well as they used to be sealed so that it was an authentic, it was a prominent document of that particular kingdom which was being laid by the king. Okay, and it was easy also to maintain these. Why? Because these could be kept for a longer time. Even today in the archives, that is the government libraries, these documents of the pre-era has been preserved. Okay, so Prashastis contain details that may not be literally true. हमें ये नहीं पता कि सच में ऐसा हुआ था, but still these all the things had been carried out in the early period, but how authentic these were nobody knows. But because these all are preserved in their forms of Prashastis as a written document, we have to follow that. They tell us how the rulers wanted to depict themselves, right, as valiant, victorious warriors. That means how was their victory, how did they achieve it, how did they become the conquerors, which were their victories. All this was being mentioned here, and this was being done specially by the kings so that people in future should know how the rulers were in the past and what were their achievements. These were composed by the learned Brahmanas. As I said, Brahmanas used to be, or these were those part of the Varnas which were the advisors of the kings, and these were scholars, so the kings used to rely on them for such practices. These people occasionally helped in the administration. These were the prominent members of the courtiers. Okay, the achievements of Nagabhatta, say for example, many rulers described their achievements in Prashastis. Right, you can see this here. In this form it was been done. One of the Prashasti which is written in Sanskrit. Now because the Brahmanas, the scholars used to write it, okay, it was written in Sanskrit, and some were also written in Tamil language as they have been found as a literary source. These are found in Gwalior, Madhya Pradesh, which describe the exploits of the Nagabhatta, Pratihara king. He belonged to the Pratiharas dynasty. Okay, what does it mention? The kings of Andhra, Sendhava, that is Sindh. Sindh was the part. Vidarbha, part of Maharashtra, and Kalinga, part of Orissa, fell before him even as he was a prince. That means when he was not a king, he was just a prince. These regions were conquered by him. By whom? The Nagabhatta. And the Prashasti has mentioned this. In the Prashasti it is mentioned, which is found in Gwalior in Madhya Pradesh. He won a victory over Chakra Yuddha. Chakra Yuddha, that means the ruler of Kannauj. He was one of the rulers of the Kannauj. He defeated the king of Vanga, part of Bengal. Vanga is to be the part of Bengal. And Arnata, that is part of Gujarat. Malwa, which is part of Madhya Pradesh, you must be knowing this very nicely. And Kirata, that is forest people. Forest people, that means which belong to the tribal groups. And Turushka, that is the Turks. Vatsa, that is Vatsa-Matsya, that is both kingdoms in the north of India. Okay, so these two were the kingdoms in the north of India. The Turks as well as the people in Madhya Pradesh, Bengal. So these were the different Kannauj, these were the different regions which were being conquered by Nagabhatta as a ruler, and this is being mentioned in the Prashasti which is found in Gwalior, Madhya Pradesh. Kings often rewarded Brahmanas by the grants of land. Okay, reward means this was the gift which was being given to the Brahmanas, as they used to keep such records and they used to be the legal advisors of the kings, right? So the Brahmanas were made landlords. They were granted the lands, okay, and these were recorded on copper plates. This was also recorded on the copper plates which were given to those who received the land. Right, so in nowadays it is the in the rural areas it is the job of the panchayat to keep a record, and who helps them? The patwaris as well as the tehsildars. They help the government in order to keep the records and supervise them, right? But in those days it was being done by the Brahmanas, and they used to write it and preserve these records in the copper plates. Okay. Now when the Brahmanas got the land, what did they do? They used to keep the lands with them, and to whomever they distributed or the land, they used to become the revenue inspectors. The land revenue was being collected by them, okay, and they also were the major people who played a very important role in administration of the land revenue system in the regions of the kingdoms, okay. In the 12th century, Sanskrit was a prominent language which was being used, okay, and this was prominently used by the Brahmanas, but there were also the kings who if they were learned, they used to know this language, and it was also being used in order to keep the documents, okay, and these documents were in the form of the accounts of the land revenue system, or in the form of the accounts of the treasure of the kings, or the wealth and the wealth management, okay. So this all was being carried out in the form of inscriptions on the Prashastis, and it was used as a document in order to keep the records, okay. Now what were the warfare practices of the kings during that time? That means we are again learning about the warfare practices used by the kings during the 7th to 12th centuries. Mainly the king used to control the land areas, okay, and say for example in Kannauj near the Ganga valley, for centuries rulers belonging to the Gurjara and Pratihara, Rashtrakuta as well as the Pala dynasties fought for the control over Kannauj. Why? Because it was very much filled with lots of natural sources, okay. That is why the kings used to have a control in this area, that is Kannauj. And because there were three parties which were belonged in control of this administration of Kannauj, so what were they called as? The three parties were called as the tripartite, okay. And because these three parties, that is the Gurjaras, the Pratiharas, the Rashtrakutas and the Palas, okay, These three were those dynasties which fought which fought wars in order to control this particular region, that is Kannauj. And this war was called as the tripartite struggle. Why did they want to control it? Because the rulers tried to demonstrate their power and their resources by building large temples. So when they attacked one another's kingdoms, they often chose to target temples, which were sometimes extremely rich. Now generally, the Indian kings did not have controls over the temples, but they built these temples in order to show their supremacy. Okay, but when the sultans or when the Mughals came into our country in order to rule, first the sultans had emerged into our country. So what they did was they used to capture the temples. Why did they want to capture the temples? Why? Because these temples had got a lot of wealth. There were so many ornaments, the sculptures, etc. were made out of valuables, say for example gold and silver or copper, or you can say the jewels, etc., which were being carved on it. So these all were very much expensive and these were very much precious also. So one of the sultans, Muhammad of Ghazni, wanted to conquer the Somnath temple, and how many times? More than 17 times he had tried to conquer this temple. He showed his supremacy by controlling the temple. So during that time, it was one of the system that whosoever would control the regions would be called as the supreme king. And other kings who engaged in the warfare included the Chamanas, later on who were known as the Chauhans, who ruled over the region around Delhi and Ajmer. These two were the regions where the Chauhans had, or the Chamanas had, showed their prominence. They attempted to expand their control to the west and the east, and where they were opposed by the Chalukyas. The Chalukyas always had a fight with the Chamanas, and they were showing their opposition of the Gujarat and the parts of Uttar Pradesh. The best known Chamana ruler was Prithviraj III. Who was that? Prithviraj III, who defeated an Afghan ruler named Sultan Muhammad Ghori in 1191. But he lost to him the very next year in 1192. So earlier in 1191 he conquered Muhammad Ghori, but then he lost to him in 1192. So today's explanation is enough today, children. And what have we learned today? We have learned about what were the Prashastis, how were they used to maintain the documents of the kings and the achievements, as well as their records during the time period between the 7th to 12th centuries. Then we have also learned about what was the system of the kings in order to be as a king, and expansion of their kingdoms. Okay, and we have also introduced the term Sultan here. What does the Sultan mean? Which is an Arabic term in order to predict the ruler. That Sultan means a ruler. Okay, and we learned about Muhammad Ghazni and Muhammad Ghori here, who were the two main or prominent rulers of the Sultan dynasties. Okay, in the next chapter we are going to learn about them. And we also have learnt about the expansion of the kings, say for example the Gurjaras, the Pratiharas, the Rashtrakutas and the Palas. Okay, and we also learned about the war which was being fought between these three rulers in order to have the control over Kannauj. Okay, so this particular act was called as a tripartite struggle, right? In the next class, we are going to learn about the administration of the Cholas. As I said, during this period, Cholas were the most dominant rulers, and they also played a very important role in development in terms of socio-economic and cultural aspects in our country during the medieval period. Okay, and that period was called as the golden period of Indian history.